Part 2. Thomas Gimbel, you must be so full of crap to sit there and tell Congress it's an isolated incident what happened at Camp Arif John. That is an ongoing criminal enterprise. And Lieutenant General Ross Thompson, you're full of crap. What do you call Camp Arif John? The FBI. They take 6 years to do an investigation. They let these people retire, collect their retirements. And meanwhile, small business suffers because these ongoing steering of contracts are continuing. But they're right on one thing. ICCI says the crime problem at Camp Arif John is immense. Oh, and where's this other guy? Lieutenant General Thompson. Now look at this definition of criminal enterprise. We're talking about 25 people plus contracting officers. My GAO protests have got rid of at least 30 in the Middle East. And probably another 30 in Afghanistan that should have been fired, but JCCS keeps covering up for these people. Oh, now they're coming back to the United States. Look at the case of Lida Amin. Great. Now how can we have Ali Al-Salim Air Base, all of this, and no small business contracts? How does that happen, Major General Maslow? Every time they violate the 20% preference, who's paying kickbacks from Al Ghanem to who in the Air Force? Al Jaber. Look at all this that's happening there. No small business contracts. Thanks to the corrupt Army, corrupt Air Force. Camp Virginia. Another criminal enterprise operated by Camp Arif John. Qatar. Now there's a corrupt place. No small business contracts. Look at all those buildings. No 20% preference. Way to go, Maslow. Way to go. Cheating U.S. small businesses. Al Dhafra. Now here's a place where both the Army and the Air Force are corrupt. Steering contracts. I just want to protest against the Army out there. Using Gmail accounts. LogCap. Now there's a corrupt bunch of bastards. Who is this guy? You know him, Obama? Never any small business set-asides. Construction that never has a 20% preference. The 3 LogCap providers, KBR, Fluor, Dynacor, never give anything to U.S. small businesses. DLA, another criminal enterprise. Tell me how the Almataris, only the Almataris, have scrap contracts in Kuwait. And one of the bulldozer is misrepresented as a small business. So what do you think, Vice Admiral Harnachek? This is a violation of the Sherman Act, Clayton Act, another criminal enterprise. Thought you guys would have learned something with Mike Deedle. Plain and simple, Camp Arifjan murdered Lieutenant Colonel Marshall Gutierrez. He was a whistleblower. DLA had their heads up their ass, never had investigators. So this guy trusted the Army, and he ended up dying for being a whistleblower. And the Army planted, the Army CID and the FBI, I doubt the FBI were there then. The Army CID planted $3,500 in this guy's car. Why would he take $3,500, Army CID? You got Cockerham and all those guys taking millions. Why would this guy do this? You guys set him up. You guys killed him. That's under the Bush administration. Bravo, Bush. And still, Department of Justice cannot settle the Agility case. Amazing. Who's paying for you guys? Navy, Bahrain. How did this all get built without U.S. contracts? No small business contracts. No preferences for U.S. businesses. Chief of Naval Operations. Chief of Staff. Top guy responsible for this fiasco. Now here's a really good one. DWC. You see how General Antwerp, head of the contracting agency, signs off and allows an $11 million contract for a 8-month-old company. Then somehow DWC LLC gets created in Texas at the same time this contract's awarded. But MBTC and NBTC say they purchased the contract. Robin Ratchford never investigated. This is a setup job. So it was such a good setup job, they tried it again a couple of years later. Antwerp, just before going out on retirement, actually 30 days after retirement, he signed a sole source letter that allowed another sole source to DWC. Problem was, he'd retired already. He signed it on 31 May 2011. It didn't get used. This letter of determination did not get used for over a year. There was another head of agency who could have signed this thing, but of course they wouldn't, because this is a setup job. This is how the Army Corps of Engineers operates. Corruption. Now under this man. So, he retires on 3 May, assigns a letter of a sole source to DWC on 31 May 2011, under the Obama administration. How much did you get, Obama? Oh, and here's a tie-in to another Army major, Bradley Wood. We'll see what the relationship is. ISA Air Base, no small business contracts, violates every single time U.S. preference, and the GAO don't do anything about it, because the GAO is corrupt. 2 bases in Bahrain. 5 bases in Saudi, no small business contracts, no preference. Way to go, Maslow. DCMA, cheating small business every chance they get. Ginman, this guy loves to pay the Taliban money. Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah, he has violated so many FARs, writing his own FARs, changing the order of preference. Even corporations are ahead of the blind now, thanks to Ginman. And Obama allows it to happen. Yep, another criminal. Doesn't oversee his contracting shop. No small business contracts. Hide every solicitation they can. Sole source KGL. Steer contracts to KGL. Way to go, Ambassador Toller. Cutter. No small business contracts. Conceal all the contracts. Thanks to this ambassador. Another corrupt ambassador. UAE. This one, I caught a company that was awarded a small business contract on fedbid.com, and they were a foreign company. That's because fedbid.com doesn't screen their people that could bid against U.S. small businesses. So on fedbid.com, you're bidding against foreign companies. That's why reverse auctions are no good. Holtz, another corrupt place. We don't see any small business contracts come out of your office. Baghdad, Iraq, another place. Corruption, of course, corruption was invented in Iraq almost. Kabul, definitely a corrupt place. Twice as corrupt with Karzai in it, but just as corrupt with Cunningham. No small business contracts. Bahrain. I can't even say your last name, buddy. But you're corrupt. Air Force Chief of Staff. Corrupt. Small businesses aren't getting their 25% across the board. And wow, this guy